Welcome to the podcast, Medical Advancements and How They Can Change Our World. I'm your host, Nadine Bokidi, and in today's episode, we're going to be discussing genomics and how it can influence Black maternal health. So, let's talk about what genomics is. Genomics is an interdisciplinary field that studies the structure, function, mapping, and evolution of genomes. The study of genomes is a rapidly evolving field, and genomics focuses on our genes and what they're composed of. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of genomics, we gotta understand the basics of DNA and how that is composed, because DNA makes up our genes. Deoxyribonucleic acid, otherwise known as DNA, is the chemical compound that is the backbone of the genetic makeup of any living creature. DNA molecules consist of two twisting pairs known as a double helix. These strands are made up of what is known as the genetic alphabet, which are nucleotide bases known as thymine, guanine, cytosine, and adenine. These are the building blocks of the DNA structure, and as building blocks connect, so do these nucleotide bases. In a DNA double helix, adenine pairs up with thymine and cytosine pairs up with guanine. These pairings quite literally determine the outcome of what a person will look like, what their traits may be phenotypically or genotypically. Genomes are an organism's complete set of DNA. Every cell in the body carries a complete copy of approximately 3 billion DNA base pairs that make up the human genome. One gene typically refers to the unit of DNA that carries the instructions for making a specific protein or set of proteins. Humans are estimated to have between 20,000 to 25,000 genes. Our genes are the smallest units of heredity as well. Genes are located on the 23 pairs of chromosomes, and they direct the production of proteins, which make up vital body structures like organs and tissues. If mutated, an abnormal protein could form, which can lead to a disruption of the body's usual processes, which can lead to diseases such as cancer, sickle cell anemia, and cystic fibrosis. An important technique that is increasingly being used in medicine is DNA sequencing. This is the process of determining the precise order of the nucleotide bases in a strand of DNA. This advancement makes it possible for researchers to use DNA sequencing to search for genetic variations and or mutations like a deletion or addition of a single base pair, which may not be severe or cause any kind of significant complications, but we can also find something greater, like a deletion of 1,000 base pairs, which carries more severity. Regardless of the severity, both cases may likely contribute to the development or progression of a disease. This ideology fueled the development of something known as precision medicine. Currently, there exist many different treatments for diseases, but the system promotes a one-size-fits-all approach, which has become significantly outdated. Evidence states that medicine will be informed by a genetic understanding of the disease. Precision medicine not only involves studying the genome, but it also considers factors like where a person lives, what they do, and what their family health history is. Overall, genomics has transformed our understanding of how the body functions at a molecular level, shifting medicine from a generalized approach to one that is more personalized and precise. By analyzing DNA and identifying genetic variation, researchers and clinicians are better equipped to understand the root cause of diseases rather than simply treating symptoms. This shift toward precision medicine highlights the potential of genomics to improve early detection, prevention, and treatment of complex conditions. However, as these advancements continue to evolve, it is important to consider who benefits from them and how they can be applied to populations that have historically been overlooked in healthcare. This is especially relevant when examining ongoing disparities in maternal health outcomes, particularly among Black mothers. What is the Black maternal health crisis, and what are our mothers dealing with? The Black maternal health crisis is an issue that many Black mothers are unfortunately experiencing. Black mothers are dying at alarmingly high rates compared to their white counterparts. These unnecessary deaths in the Black population are driven by a range of factors, including racism, negligence, poverty, and broader social and structural determinants of health. Data shows that Black and Native mothers experience higher rates of adverse pregnancy outcomes, including increased infant mortality rates, particularly among Black infants. These disparities persist even among Black mothers with advanced degrees, stable careers, and financial security, demonstrating that the issue extends beyond socioeconomic status. Regardless of social standing, many Black women are neglected and ignored within the healthcare system. As Hager et al. Explains, historically, Black women's voices and opinions about their birthing preferences have been ignored or not believed, perpetuating a cycle of mistrust and non-participation in research. Adverse pregnancy outcomes are rarely random. In the case of Black mothers, exposure to racism, systemic bias, and neglect acts as a chronic stressor that significantly influence pregnancy outcomes. Many women experience complications during pregnancy, particularly hypertensive disorders such as preeclampsia. Black mothers are disproportionately affected by preeclampsia, which remains a leading cause of maternal death. According to Graves et al., data from the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention shows that hypertensive disorders contribute to a significantly higher proportion of pregnancy-related deaths among Black women compared to white women. Additionally, Black women with preeclampsia face increased risk of severe maternal complications, including stroke, pulmonary edema, renal failure, and high postpartum readmission rates. Several factors contribute to these disparities. While some individuals may have a genetic predisposition to preeclampsia, one of the most consistent patterns among Black mothers is a higher cardiometabolic burden. This is largely driven by chronic stress resulting from socioeconomic, structural, and environmental barriers rooted in present-day racism and marginalization. As described by Graves et al., this leads to something known as weathering, or early health deterioration, caused by the cumulative impact of repeated exposure to adversity. Over time, this physiological strain increases the risk of conditions such as hypertension at earlier ages. This demonstrates that chronic exposure to systemic inequality is not only a social issue but also a biological one, directly contributing to the increased risk of pregnancy complications among Black mothers. As mentioned, mothers, especially Black mothers, are dying from pregnancy complications at an alarming rate, and precursors such as preeclampsia need to be addressed early on. Here's a story about a Black mother, Angela Jones. Her story highlights the serious consequences of delayed recognition and inadequate management of preeclampsia. During her pregnancy, she had multiple risk factors, yet her providers never assessed her risk or offered preventative care like low-dose aspirin. Her pregnancy progressed and she experienced worsening symptoms, including severe headaches, but her concerns were repeatedly dismissed. In her 7th month, she was diagnosed with preeclampsia after a high blood pressure reading, but was sent home without proper treatment or monitoring. Her condition quickly worsened, progressing into eclampsia and leading to seizures and an emergency cesarean delivery. Even after giving birth, Angela faced life-threatening complications, including difficulty breathing caused by fluid buildup in her lungs, which required another hospitalization and intensive treatment. Her difficulty breathing was due to fluid buildup in her lungs, known as pulmonary edema, which is a serious complication associated with preeclampsia or eclampsia. Throughout her experience, she was often left without clear explanations and felt her concerns were not taken seriously. Her story demonstrates how delayed diagnosis and lack of communication can escalate a manageable condition into a life-threatening one, emphasizing the urgent need for earlier detection, better patient education, and more responsive care. How mothers can benefit from genomic medicine. As a biological issue that disproportionately affects Black mothers, there is still much that remains unknown about preeclampsia and other pregnancy complications, such as placenta previa and placenta abruption. Although significant research has been conducted to understand the root cause of preeclampsia, there is still no definitive explanation. While doctors can provide recommendations to monitor and manage the condition, there are few reliable methods to identify whether a mother may develop it early in pregnancy. In most cases, preeclampsia is diagnosed after a patient presents with high blood pressure after 20 weeks of gestation, sometimes even later. For many mothers, this delay can be critical, as earlier detection could allow for more effective monitoring and intervention. In some cases, misdiagnosis or lack of awareness further delays care, leaving mothers unaware of their condition until it has significantly progressed. Rather than subjecting mothers to uncertainty and preventable risk, emerging medical advancements offer the potential to significantly improve early detection. Genomics, as discussed earlier, is a rapidly evolving field that can assess an individual's genetic makeup and may allow for earlier identification of conditions like preeclampsia during pregnancy, particularly through the placenta, which plays a central role in many pregnancy-related complications. Two important tools in this area are cell-free DNA, cfDNA, and cell-free RNA, cfRNA. Cell-free DNA refers to small fragments of DNA that circulate freely in the bloodstream, released from cells such as placental and maternal tissues. These fragments can be analyzed to assess genetic information in tissues during pregnancy. Similarly, cell-free RNA consists of small RNA fragments found in the bloodstream that reflect active gene expression from the placenta and maternal organs, providing insight into how genes are functioning in real time. While DNA serves as the body's long-term genetic blueprint, RNA acts as the working copy, helping to carry out and regulate genetic instruction. Recent research highlights the growing role of genomics in the early prediction of preeclampsia. Studies using cfRNA have shown that it is possible to detect early molecular changes associated with preeclampsia as early as the first trimester with non-invasive blood tests. As Mufarej et al. Explains, liquid biopsies that measures plasma cfRNA have shown promise not only in the confirming preeclampsia at diagnosis but also in predicting it in earlier pregnancy, potentially guiding preventative treatments such as low-dose aspirin. In addition to cfRNA, emerging research on cfDNA is also demonstrating promising results. By analyzing data from routine prenatal screenings, researchers have found that genomic analysis of cfDNA can detect early signs of placental and vascular dysfunction associated with preeclampsia months before clinical symptoms appear. As Adil et al. Notes, this approach can reveal early abnormalities in placental and endothelial function, which are key contributors to the development of preeclampsia. These findings are significant because preeclampsia is strongly linked to placental dysfunction, particularly issues related to implantation and blood flow. By identifying abnormalities in placental DNA early in pregnancy, genomic tools may allow healthcare providers to detect and monitor at-risk pregnancies much earlier, ultimately improving maternal outcomes and reducing the risk of severe complications. The limitations of genomic medicine. These discoveries show that as medicine continues to advance, we are gaining new opportunities to improve outcomes for pregnancy-related complications, especially those that have historically been overlooked in healthcare. Regardless of all the benefits, there are significant limitations as well. These technologies can be expensive and are not always accessible to all patients, especially those in underserved communities, the very population that are most affected by maternal health disparities. In addition, Black women are often underrepresented in genomic research, which means these tools may not always be as accurate or fully tailored to their needs. With intentional efforts to make these technologies more accessible and inclusive, there is risk that genomics could reinforce existing disparities rather than reduce them. conclusion, the Black maternal health crisis highlights a critical failure in both medical care and health equity. As seen through the experiences of mothers like Angela Jones, delayed diagnosis, lack of communication, and systemic bias can turn preventable conditions into life-threatening emergencies. At the same time, emerging advancements in genomic medicine offer a promising path forward by shifting care from reactive to predictive, allowing for earlier detection of complications such as preeclampsia through non-invasive methods. However, these innovations aren't enough on their own. Without addressing issues such as cost, accessibility, and representation, the benefits of genomic medicine may not reach the populations that need them the most. Moving forward, improving maternal health outcomes requires a combined effort, one that integrates scientific innovation with systemic change. This means not only advancing technologies like genomic screening, but also ensuring equitable access to care, listening to patients, and addressing the structural inequalities that continue to put Black mothers at risk. Until these changes are made, the disparities in maternal health will persist, making it essential to approach these issues not only as a medical challenge, but as a matter of justice and public health. That is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. See you guys in the next one. Bye.